Okay, well, we're gonna get started, and we're probably gonna have people trickle in late. Who wasn't at my branding class last week? I think you guys, but the rest of you were here. So I'm Kaytin Slater. For those of you who don't know me, I am the director of marketing and lead generation for the Red Sign Real Estate team. So I do all of our social media marketing, all of our client marketing, our events, and then all of our inbound like digital advertising and website development. So that's a little bit about my background. I actually do contract out social media. So I've helped a bunch of companies. I'll work on the side when I have time. So it's just something that I've always been passionate about, always done, and kind of have enjoyed doing. So that's a little bit about my background. And I've been working in social media for like the last 6 years. So yeah, we're really just going to hop right in. Like I am the type of person that like, it's one thing for me to talk about everything to do, but I want you guys to walk away with like tangible items where you can implement and actually make a difference in your social media channels and the content that you're creating. Because there's nothing worse than going to a class and spending an hour and it's just like, this is what you should do, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, but how do I do that? What do I do? And like, how am I actually getting better and improving? So I like my class to be very focused on like tips and tricks that you can easily implement that are going to make a huge difference. So kind of going into just content trends for 2024 of those of you who aren't actively using social media, it changes daily, it changes weekly. Like there's always new trends coming and going, just like life, right? Fashion, like the 90s trends are back with the wide leg pants. So it just comes and goes. The biggest thing I would say for social media is reels, right? Videos. Like videos is so important with the rise of TikTok. And ever since COVID, really, we've seen a huge impact. If you are not doing videos and reels, like you are wasting your time when it comes to social media. So just make sure that like that is your priority, because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to grow. Like when you're posting to a stagnant, to your feed, you're reaching out to just your direct audience. For all of us, because we're all in sales, we want to grow our database, right? The only way we do that is by posting reels, because then we're reaching and targeting specific demographics and audiences that aren't already in my network. So that's why that's really important. Visual brand storytelling. Good morning. You look so cute. I told people in my last class, in my brand class, like this is your resume for a lot of people, especially younger generations. Like as you move forward, like this is what people are going to look up and see, like how you are as a realtor, right? Like this is your resume as someone that's in the real estate industry. So making sure that it's appealing aesthetically, but also it tells the story of who you are, what you're about, and why someone should use you, right? So making sure you're pinning your top posts of just like, hey, like just doing a reel, like quickly introducing yourself. I'm Kim, I do real estate, blah, blah, 30 seconds, pin that. So then anytime someone's coming to your story, they have a quick idea and a quick introduction to you. The no edit, like we went through a big phase where people were overly editing all their photos and their videos, and it just became a lot. And so we've kind of overly corrected. And now it's like the trend is to be a little bit more natural, a little bit less edited. We don't want it overly saturated. We don't want you to tell that you put a lot of edit in it. So it's the natural look is the thing. Grit and grain, old school vintage. We're seeing that come back, really a big trend with like Polaroid cameras, memes. You guys have seen all the videos where it's like the memes with the audio where it's like something silly, like that's a big trend right now. And then AI, as we all know, and just like we live in one of the most transformative times in human history with AI, right? And there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize that you can implement AI into your social media that makes your life a million times easier and does your job for you, but people just don't know. So we're going to kind of go over all these things. These are just like top trends right now as of today. Okay, so the meta algorithm. So who knows what an algorithm is? Okay, some of you are like, I think I do, but I don't really know. It's essentially social media. Like it's like the thing where we talk about like, I'm going to buy something, I'm talking to my spouse about it, and then all of a sudden I get the ads, right? There's so many things that our phone tracks we're just not aware of. And so the algorithm is dictated based off of your personal preferences and likes and relevancy to you, that this is the type of content that should be in front of you, right? So therefore, we're trying to beat the algorithm so the content that we are creating is in front of the right people that we're targeting, okay? So the algorithm looks like about information that you are looking at, reels, feed post stories, and users' interests and behaviors on their platform to serve the right content to the right people, right? Because if we're not getting in front of the right people, then going down the rabbit hole of social media is really not worth your time. So it's just all about getting in front of the right people. So how it works, it essentially takes your user activity. So it looks at your past behaviors, such as reels you've liked, saved, shared. This is why, like, if someone like loves cats and they're like, well, the only thing that pops up on my Instagram feed is cat videos or dog videos, right? That's because you're constantly sending those to your friends, or you're commenting, or you're saving them. So Instagram's like, okay, this is the only thing that they want to see. And so it's like getting variety and making sure that you're liking real estate related content and you're saving real estate related content. So then that's what you're seeing. So you guys create, like, your Instagram becomes like a brainstorm feed for you. So then you're able to find ideas quickly. So making sure that you're saving those. Yep.
So if we were to like a certain, say I like all of your posts are going to show. If I'm not liking, you know how it's like people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing any of my friends' posts anymore. If you're not liking friends' posts, then they don't show up anymore.
Yep. And that's kind of so I would say on average, 95% of your following's not seeing your content, because the only 5% are seeing it are the 5% that you're interacting with constantly. So if you notice, like, okay, your spouse comes up on your feed first, no matter what they post, even if they post once a year, it's because you're sending memes back and forth. You're interacting with them back and forth. And so we're going to go over the most important thing with social media is interaction, because that's how you're going to get your content in front of people. If you're like, every time like a client, like, you guys just have to have intentionality behind when a client posts a story, message them, say, oh, your kids look so cute, or something to cause, because on the ranking scale, a message is going to be highest, and then a comment, and then a like, right? So making sure that you're messaging, if you're on Facebook, commenting, like, right, like, just have it, like, even if it's just, hey, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day of not even posting content, but just scrolling through my feed and commenting and liking and interacting with people, because then they're going to become that 5%, and that 5% grows to 10% to 20% of people that are actually seeing my content. Because Instagram doesn't want someone that's just going to be a content machine just throwing out stuff if you're never interacting. They're like, okay, they're more than likely a bot just trying to go it, and they're not authentic and not reaching the right people. So making sure that's so important. If it's just like 5 shares a day, 5 comments a day, 5 likes a day, even something as small as that can make a big difference. So that is with the author interaction, which is what Kim just said. Making sure if you're interacting with them, they're going to see your content. If you're not interacting with them, they're obviously not going to see your content. Real information. So it also looks at like video length and audio track. So we'll go over this a little bit more in detail. But think about, like, Instagram is saying if you post a 60-second video, and the majority of people, the average watch time is 5 seconds, Instagram has deemed that a not good video because people aren't watching it to completion. So you have to make sure. That's why we say a shorter video is better, because human nature, as of today, we have a very short attention span. So it's very important to make sure that you're doing shorter videos. But also, if you're doing a longer video, how are you captivating that attention throughout the 60 seconds? Because if they're not watching it, then it's just going to go deep and deeper into the algorithm, and you're not going to be shown, because people are saying it's just not a great video because people only care about it for a few seconds.
It's also why reels are so popular right now, because they're like 5-7 seconds.
Yep.
So they can watch it 3 times through.
Yep.
They're not getting all the information, but
yep.
they're watching the whole thing,
which is
on more
yep
people's.
Yep. That's why that the ideal is less than 10 seconds, right? That 5 to 7 seconds is a sweet spot, and we'll go over. But like, just so it, like the video that I sent some of you guys that we're going to walk through at the end, it's like a 5-second video, but then we put like a hook that says 1 of 4.9% interest rate, right? As we all know, there's builders that are offering those rate. Great. Put that as the hook, and then pop up text, read caption, and then you have a long caption. So then they have to spend 60 seconds reading the caption, but then the video in the background is playing multiple times, and all of a sudden Instagram's like, this is an awesome video, because they're watching it 20 times, right? They're just taking longer to read. So just being tactful about what you're doing, instead of like, no one wants to watch you a 60-minute home tour video, right? Like, show them the highlights. Just being methodical about what portion of the videos you're doing, and just know humans are short. That's why the time is getting shorter and shorter. So just making sure we're not doing more than 10 seconds. Ideally, some videos are going to take longer, and that's okay. Poster information. So again, relevant content. So if you're liking real estate content, then it's saying the people that you're interacting with are also liking real estate content, right? Because it's saying that there's similarities there. So making sure that you're interacting with not just your clients, but also like industry specific content. Any questions on how the algorithm works? Nope, great. Okay, so ranking factors. We kind of already talked about this, but the most important, this is essentially how you beat the algorithm, are three things. Relationship between the creator and the viewer. Do you guys follow each other? Do you message each other or leave comments? If you have repeatedly interacted with a specific user in the past, more likely to see their new content. This is extremely important for businesses. Active community management, including responding to DMs, comments, improve the brand visibility. So if you're not responding, every comment someone does on your post, like respond. You guys got to respond because it's saying, again, Instagram has so many little things that it dictates as, oh, you're just a business account trying to grow and you're not actually like authentically caring about your following. So making sure you're interacting every time someone comments, like it, comment back.
So if somebody follows you, you should always follow them back?
Yes. Yeah. I recommend it. There's a lot of like superficial things of like, oh, I need, X amount of followers to following ratio. That doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like we're all in sales. Like it doesn't, you want to be following as much people as possible because that's how you're going to grow. It's also, it really just depends on you too, because again, if you're not going to see 95% of their content because you're only seeing the top 5% of the people you interact with, it doesn't really matter. It's not hurting you. It's not like you're going to see a bunch of people that you don't care about. But that's where I would just say, ideally, if you're trying to grow your business, go out and follow as many people as possible.
So if they comment under your picture, is a like enough, or should it be?
I would comment back. I would say I would like it, and then I would just say thanks so much. You're like, hey, hope you're doing well, or something small, even if it's just like a heart emoji or something dumb. Instagram's like, oh, they're interacting, and then that's just again furthering that relationship. Yep.
Good content, people will comment back on like negative comments. Like,
Oh yeah.
say, like your video's terrible. They're like, oh, that's all right. Your
Yep.
opinion. Like, oh, it would be nice, but
Yep.
they'll still respond back.
Yep.
Kind of just
Boost it. And some companies are very strategic, like they're very sarcastic back and they pin, and then those comments get thousands of likes because they're kind of snippy back, and people like to see that. But obviously, as we're smaller, we're not like Apple or Dunkin' Donuts, so I would just say err on the side if someone does do something negative. We just say, yeah, like I'm glad, thanks for sharing your opinion, like we'll keep that in mind, or something, like, because there's trolls out there, there's people that are going to be negative out there, and you can't let that like stop you from doing you on social media. So yeah, I would just always comment back, even if it's just like a thumbs up, and just kind of passive aggressive.
Can you also delete those things if it is just a troll? Like it's not like an actual person.
Yep. So yeah, so there's a lot of like Utah community, or like these random things that just are bots that will comment like DM me for a promotion or something. Just delete those comments because those aren't helping you, because those aren't big, like, yeah, real accounts. So just delete those. You can delete them. If there's trolls, like you can delete them, but also know that like sometimes it is like people want to see like interactions and all that stuff. Like we did one about like Utah City and Vineyard, and we got a ton of negative stuff because people thought that we were the developer, right? But it's just us explaining what's coming. I mean, we got like thousands of comments like, you guys are ruining Utah, you did it. And I'm like, we're actually not, but we're just trying to educate, right? So it's just like there's sometimes negative comments do help, because then you can show that like I'm not one-sided and I care about everyone's opinion, even though it's not the same as my own. So yep. Yep. So that's what we're going to go over. So there's actually it's called mini chat. It's where you essentially have, so when I manage several builders Instagrams, and I have this set up so anytime someone comments, it has like 10 automated responses back depending on the comment. And it also, like if you see those posts that say like comment guide to get a real estate guide or whatever, and then they comment that, it's AI all in the back end sending them everything that you need. It just sends them a message. You can customize it as much as you want. But I would just say that I recommend doing that if you have a bigger account and you can't, because like with Red Sign, when you're getting lots of comments, if you're getting a couple, it doesn't make sense necessarily because you want to individualize your response. But if you have bigger accounts, or you just don't have time, or you want to do something specific, like if you have a new listing, this is a great example. If you showcase, you do a video of a new listing, you say comment listing for housing information, and then you're sending them like your real estate website, do that in AI, because then you're not having to copy and paste and do it multiple times. It automates your life. But if you're like post a personal thing, you don't want to have an AI response because you want to actually be genuine in your response. And then relevancy, Instagram decides how relevant every piece of content is. This includes an analysis of where it fits on trending topics, as well as timeliness factors. Recent posts are considered. I like to compare social media to going to the gym. You can't go to the gym twice and expect to lose a lot of weight and get muscle, right? Like, it takes time and consistency. Like, we'll go over the amount of times you should post and all this, but like at the end of the day, Instagram is saying if you're posting 2 times a year, you're not really invested in social media, and it wants to put its investment in other creators that are putting a lot of time in the app. So making sure that you guys are consistently posting dictates where you come in at the algorithm. Any questions about this? Whew, I'm tired talking. Okay, so before we dive into like specific tips and tricks, I always ask people when they're like, Kaytin, help me with my social media. I'm like, what do you want out of social media? Because at the end of the day, like, every person's different. If you're wanting to generate leads, I always tell people your best bet is doing Google PPC campaigns, because you want to target active people searching for homes in Utah. Social media is for passive lookers, right? Sally Smith's looking on Facebook, randomly comes across an ad of your house. She clicks on it because she thought the house was cute. She's 80 years old and never moving, right? Like, she'd never had the intention when she got on Facebook to buy a house or buy or sell. She just kind of came across your ad, clicked on it because she thought it was great. She's a passive looker, right? Whereas Google is like people actually searching like homes for sale in Alpine, Utah, right? So generating leads, Google, not social media. Social media, on average, your conversion is 12 to 18 months, right? Because again, these are passive lookers. But your CPL is very low. So that's why a lot of people do it, because your CPL on average is like $2 to $3 is your cost per lead. Whereas Google, it can be anywhere from $30 to $50, right? So it's an easy to just put money forth it, because you're like, oh, it's just $20 here, $20 here. But just on average, that's just your conversions, I would say. But it does help in building a brand and getting exposure. So for people, I am like, social media is one of your best touches for your database, right? Like, especially for younger generations. Like we have a database of 60,000 people, right? Our older generations, they love getting our emails. They love responding to our emails. We have a high CTR with those people. Our younger generations, 30 and younger, they don't care about an email. They probably don't even have an email, right? A lot of these people just like, they want the reminder and the touch to be social media, because that's relevant to them and their life and what they're doing on a consistent basis. So for brand exposure and that like reminder, right, that, oh, hey, by the way, I'm in real estate. I'm not going to tell you every single day, but maybe once a week you're seeing my real estate post. So when the time does come, like, we've had so many agents on our team where that's like, I literally haven't talked to someone since middle school. They randomly said that my reel came up on their like For You page, and then they reached out. I would have never gotten that deal if they didn't see it at the right time, right? We all know in real estate, timing is everything. So again, consistency matters. Promoting listings, like, we also use social media primarily as a way to get the listings when we do unmet lead generation, right? Like, it's a big selling point, a value proposition. Hey, if we get your listing, we are going to do a professional videography and we are going to post it on our social media channels. So again, listings, people like, they want to see that you're doing the most to sell their house. So it does help that way. It can also help target agents, right? You guys are working with agents, so making sure that they're all seeing it. And then we talked about retargeting your current database. So I would just ask yourself, like, what is your intention? What are your KPIs with running a social media channel? And hopefully you can get these answers. Any questions on this? Great. Okay, now we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of all of it. So how often should you post? This varies for everyone, but I say at the bare minimum, you should try to strive for 1 story a day and 2 to 3 reels per week. Everyone's different. We have some agents on our team that are younger, and they're like, I just don't want to like bombard my people's feed with real estate stuff. So post a reel, but don't post it to your feed. Just post it so it's not showing up on your profile, but people can see it and you can still get business from it, but it's not necessarily going to the people that follow you, right? So there's a strategic way of being like, so they're still seeing, you're still getting the opportunity to grow your database, but you're not necessarily sending it repetitively to the people that are already following you. So on Instagram, when you go to post, you can click don't post my feed. So essentially when people are scrolling through your feed, they're not going to see it. It's not going to go out to my people, but then anyone, I'm going to run like targeted demographics on it, run an ad on it, targeting specific people, and then those people will see it, right? Your people still might see it when they're scrolling through the reels, but they're not necessarily seeing it in their feed. So it's a balancing act. If you're like, we have agents that post like 10 times that, but they only post once a week in their actual feed. So it gives you the opportunity to grow without just being super annoying to your database. And then I recommend like one original content post to every couple of reshares, right? Like you don't just need to reshare a bunch of content. Like people want to see, again, this is why I think it's so important that you don't segment your business and your personal account. I think that's a big no-no in real estate specifically because you guys aren't selling a sweater. You're not selling an iPhone. Like you are selling yourself, right? I can hire a real estate agent and I can get a lot of the similar services, but at the end of the day, I'm choosing to use you because of who you are as a person. And when you segment yourself, no one wants to follow just a real estate, right? We know that only maybe 10% of our database is going to do a transaction in a year. I don't want to just see a bunch of real estate content. And if I'm following that page, it's because I like you, but I'm not interacting with you, so I'm not really seeing it, so it doesn't do its job. You are your service, right? You are a real estate agent. I am buying into you. So you have to be tactful about the percentage of what you're posting real estate versus, I tell people it's generally a 30 to 70 ratio is probably best. 30% real estate content, 70% personal. Like people are following you. They want to see your family. They want to see what you're doing with your kids, what you're doing for the weekend. If you're traveling, how your life is. That doesn't mean like you can do a day in the life and show like, hey, this is what I'm running around like crazy like that. It's real estate without being like overly top, right? Like again, there's tactical ways to like be subtle about, oh, I'm in real estate, by the way, without being like just listed or under contract or just sold. Like there's better ways to go about it, but just making sure that you're posting a lot of personal stuff because that's what people want to see at the end of the day. Uh-huh.
Social media and always have been, so I'm here to try to get better at it. I'm so terrible. I created 2 Instagram profiles. And,
It's okay.
I have like people, followers and stuff, so I just literally just X one of them and delete it.
Mm-hmm. I think in any, yeah. Real estate. Well, and that's what a lot, because sometimes people say that because they're like, look, people don't want to see your real estate stuff all the time. So do a separate one. But I'm like, that defeats the purpose of you selling yourself, right? And so then it's hard, but I just always recommend I would just go through your real estate one and just message, hey, I'm moving it all to my personal, like, and then here, go follow it and send your profile. Yep. And then just message them, by the way. Again, if you do what you want to do. Some agents have found it successful because they're just like targeting other agents. So they have a segmented real estate one because they're not trying to target clients. They're trying to target other agents. You look at all the big like real estate influencers. If that's what you want to do, if you're putting money and investing and really being like social media, the reality is a lot of us, we just want to get a couple leads here and there. We're not going to spend hours a day posting, right? So if you're just like, hey, I'm going to do what I can, this is what I recommend. And then remember, quality over quantity. At the end of the day, like if you don't have something to store, like a story, don't just post something dumb. Like be methodical, right? Like people want to see good content. People are going to interact with good content. So don't feel like, oh, I have to post a story a day. I don't have anything. I'm going to take a picture of like my sandwich. Like feel like you have to do something. Like I'd rather you guys post quality content over just like getting it done just to get it done, because then at the end of the day, that does kind of hurt you. Yeah. And then resharing content. If you're like, say, the New York Times or KSL or something does an article and you reshare it, just make sure you're doing a balance. You're not just constantly resharing content that other people are creating. Instagram wants to see that you're creating unique content. So making sure that you're posting unique content too. Any questions on how often you should post? Nope. Great. And I'm a really fast talker and I go through. So if you guys need me to slow down, like interrupt me, yes.
What is your outlook on just regular posts rather than first posts? Like I know reels are obviously way more fun to get more views.
Yes and no. There are some benefits for doing it, but Instagram released an article of like what percentage, because they're so honed in on reels, that like your stagnant posts in your feed are going to get like minuscule views comparatively to a reel, and you can't grow your database, right? So that's where it's like, because it's only reaching the people that are already following you. So I just tell everyone, if you have a listing, a lot of us get professional photography for our listing, change the photo to a 16:9 aspect ratio, and then post just a bunch of the photos in a reel. And that's going to get people, it's going to get more exposure, more people are going to see it. So it's just being strategic about, like, you can still post photos as reels, but every once in a while it does make sense to have a stagnant post, because it's something. So it's just, I would say I would invest 80 to 90% of your time in reels, and then if you do a post here and there, it's not going to hurt you, and it can help. Content sharing plan. I just feel like, again, like, you always have to have a plan in everything you do, right? Like I don't know, it's like a goal without a plan is just a wish. So having you guys like specific, we said, okay, post 5 stories a day, post 2 to 3 reels a week. You all know your calendars better than anyone. So you know what days you're busier and what days you're not. So like I like tell our agents, okay, so if you know, like on Wednesday when I pick up my kids from 3 to 3:30, I'm sitting in the parking lot. Like that's my time when I'm going to be scrolling through my feed and saving content for ideas, right? Like this is my time that I'm going to be interacting with people, right? And then maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays are my like actual content creation days where I'm spending 20 to 30 minutes. And we're going to go over ways for you guys. A lot of you feel like probably that social media is overwhelming and it takes hours to create good videos. That's not the case. There's so many things that Instagram's rolled out that creating good content is actually can take you less than 5 minutes. But again, it's just, you have to be intentional about the time that you're spending in the pre-planning phase. So then that way it makes those content creation days a lot easier. So I just recommend like having like, and it doesn't need to be every Tuesday I'm going to do this, or every Wednesday I'm going to post a builder tip. Like it's like just being at least a little bit methodical about how your schedule looks, and saying like calendaring, like if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to happen. Making sure that you're putting time in your calendar to be intentional about it. And then you just know, okay, these are the days that I'm going to post.
Are you going to talk about hashtags?
I can.
So
What's your question?
Like, is there like a trend of how many hashtags that you're supposed to do? Because I have read like if you have more than a certain amount.
Yep, it's eight to 10.
8 to 10 you're supposed to have?
Yes. So yeah, if you have like after about 15 Instagram, so I just tell people 8 to 10 is best. After about 15 Instagrams, like, because it's giving priority. So it's like a loading bar. I don't know how to explain it. So like the first one's going to get this much, and the second one, and every time it's getting less and less. Yes, and you should change it up, okay? Because if you're doing Utah real estate hashtag on all of your posts, Instagram's like, oh, this is boring. Like you're the same. Like you have to do different ones. So make sure you're doing like, you're changing it up, 8 to 10 hashtags. If you don't know how to literally chat GBT, say, hey, I have a new construction home in Mapleton, Utah. Give me 20 hashtag options for me to select from. And then copy and paste 10 of those, right? So I tell people always use chat GBT for hashtags because it takes the thinking out of it for you.
A reel counts as a post, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to do 2 of them.
Yep. Yeah. So essentially, like I talked about earlier, you can post a reel to where it's just going to reels and it's not going to your people. Or if you just post it like normal, then it will go to your people and they'll see it on their feed. And so it will post in both. So it's just you. If you're going to post 10 reels a week, maybe only share 2 to 3 to your feed, but then 7 are for you growing your account.
Which you could even do that for ones you've already created. You
Mm-hmm.
post it again to not your feed, right?
Yep. Okay, timing is everything, right? As we all know, you got to post at the right time because you want to get in front of the most amount of people at the time that they're on the time that they're on Instagram. And if any of you guys want my slides after, just send me an email. My email is Kaytin, Kaytin @redsign.com, and I will send you my slide deck so you guys don't have to take pictures of each one and it's all in one place. If you guys didn't know, you can schedule a post. So I always recommend, if I know Monday at 11 a.m. or say Tuesday at 8 a.m. is a great time, and if say Monday is my content day, then I'm going to schedule a post to happen at those exact times. So it's not that you have to you don't have to change your schedule to do this. But on Instagram, if you scroll down to advanced settings, and we're going to walk through all this with the videos that I sent you guys when I pull up and green screen my phone, how to schedule them. But I recommend have an hour for your day and then schedule your post for the week, and then you're done. Okay? Question. Kaytin, Kaytin at redsign.com. Yeah, and so Instagram's heavily changed their algorithm over the past few years. And so it does, we're going to kind of go over this, but you shouldn't be a business account or a personal account. Like, you all should be on a content creator account. And so if we're going to walk through this, I have the how you do it in Instagram settings on how to be a creator account. This essentially gives you access to a lot of Instagram hacks and tips and tricks. And it also gives you access to their professional dashboard of insight and data. And you can do a little bit more like schedule posts and a couple other things. If you are just in a personal account, you're very limited on your features and capabilities. So make sure that you all switch today to a content creator account. And we'll go over how to do that. Facebook engagement. Again, you can see Wednesdays are a great day to post, right? It's very similar to Instagram. These are kind of like your highest engagement points. So again, let's just be strategic. If you're going to spend the time to make a reel, you want to get the most out of it. So making sure that it's posting at the right time. Any questions about timing when to post?
Do you post everything on both? Like if you post something on Instagram, you have it go on.
Yep, you might as well. Just know whichever one you post it on, it's going to get priority and it's going to get more engagement. So I tell people, if you're in TikTok and you make a TikTok and you save it and it has the watermark, if you post that in Instagram, it's going to get Instagram knows, and it's going to get way less interaction. So I just tell people, pick the one that you're most, but like with Instagram and Facebook, because it's owned by the same meta, it's very similar. But Instagram and TikTok, Instagram and Twitter, if you save any of them and they have the watermark, they can read the data on those images and those videos, and they're going to give way less priority to those.
Are you moving off of TikTok because of the whole?
I never really got into TikTok because our database it's really been on Instagram. And I recommend picking one and sticking with it. Because of everything with the lawsuit, maybe don't invest all of your time in TikTok because we don't know the future of what that's going to look like. Also, what I have found with TikTok is generically it's younger people that aren't necessarily affording homes right now. And so does it help for brand exposure and stuff? But that's such a long-term play and you don't have a lot of our target demographic on TikTok. So again, it's just it's investing in one. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to create a Pinterest account, a YouTube, Instagram, a Facebook. But I would recommend if you're going to spend the time, so what I do for Instagram, I have it automatically shared to Facebook. I also have an API to automatically share to my YouTube Shorts. My YouTube Shorts aren't going to get as much interaction, but it's still getting content in there we still get leads from it. And it's an AI thing that I don't even have to worry about. So again, making sure you have all these things set up. So if you are doing it, it's going to the most amount of places possible. So I just use a Zapier where it's anytime I post a reel, it automatically is posted to YouTube Shorts, and making sure you have a channel because YouTube's great specifically for people searching for real estate, and you can kind of get a little more targeted on keywords.
Someone brand new at this like me, you say that would probably be your order you would recommend. Focus on Instagram and have an auto.
Again, I think you have to ask yourself your target demographic. If your sphere is all similar in age and it's your people are millennials and younger and on Instagram, then do Instagram. If you're a little bit older and everyone's on Facebook, then do Facebook. Really just analyze your target demographic and then focus. But yeah, if you would say a majority of your people, your friends, your family are on Instagram, then I would focus on that. Okay, so now we're going to get really nitty gritty because I want you guys to walk away with specific things that you can do that will help change your social media. Again, ideal video length is 10 seconds or less. So if you see on average watch time is 5 seconds, in that 5 seconds, you have less than 2 seconds to captivate someone's attention. We've all been guilty of just constantly doom scrolling, right? If you do not captivate something, have a hook in the very beginning, something super loud and in their face in the first 2 seconds, they're going to scroll, right? So you just have to be the first 2 to 3 seconds is the most important. And then it's on average 5 to 7 seconds. Because again, like we said, if they're not watching the full length of the video, Instagram's deeming that your video is not great and it's not getting in front of enough people. So, like I said, the best bet for you to do is a short video with something that says read caption, right? You see a lot of influencers do it. It's like how to do this, whatever, how to house hack, read caption, right? ChatGPT put out like a whole long caption for them to scroll through and read. So then it's playing multiple times.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm
really
like,
done with
I need
this
a
stuff,
drink.
so glad she's in my office space because I really am so done. Okay, so I've noticed that one of the things, and I thought about this the other day, that people write these little things on their reel or their story, whatever.
Mhm.
And it's like you have to stop it. Like I'm trying to read it, and it's like, is that kind of one of the catches, or is that just people just almost writing too much, and I'm just the person that stops and tries to read it?
That's why I think your caption is better, because it's frustrating. Like when I'm like having to pause it and try and read, and then it's playing and then it misses it. So that's why I think it's like the best option is just to say like do a hook, how to get 4.9% interest rate, read caption. And instead of doing like, this is how you do it with Builder and like having text pop up, have it all in something. So then you like, the whole goal, right, is for people to share my stuff and for people to save it, right? Like interacting is great, like liking and comments grading. But if people are saving my videos, then it's like, oh my gosh, this is gold content. Like people have deemed this worthy enough to save. So you want like something that's going to be like how to house hack. This is how you can get in for little money down, whatever. So people are saving that content because they feel like, oh, I can go through and read this and reference this back. So again, the best bet for you to do is like, okay, how am I thinking intentionally about why someone would save this content? So again, just being strategic about the type of content you're putting out will make sense. But if it's like a video where people are having to pause, screenshot, save, they're not going to save that, right? Because that's just too much of a hassle. But yeah, that's great. Yeah. 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 But I tell people, I'm like, you just have to do the type of content that you like. Yeah. So if you're annoyed by it, other people are annoyed by it. And that's why it's funny. Yep. Part of it. But okay, location tags. Switch up your location tags. We're all realtors in Utah and Salt Lake County, right? But don't post like Orem as your location every time, because like we said, with your content, with your creator account, you can see what demographic you're getting in front of. And so it's very important to make sure that you're switching up, because then Instagram's saying, I have your location in Vineyard, Utah, and I'm going to target people that are also interested in things in Vineyard, Utah, or Mapleton, or doing like small businesses. Great opportunity for you to collaborate with small businesses, like put their location. A lot of people have their business as an actual location. It's not a city or a state. So just being strategic every once in a while, just you do like Utah as your location, because again, it makes a big difference in the type of people that are interacting, because you don't want a bunch of people in a different country seeing your stuff, because that's not going to help you do business at the end of the day. But if local people are seeing your stuff, then obviously that helps grow your business. Yes. Sorry. So when you go to, and I'll walk through when I do it, because it's sometimes easier to see, but when you go to post, you'll click, like there's like 3 dots and it will say add location, and then you'll click on it, and then you can type like Vineyard, Utah, Bossa, American Fork, whatever it is. And then that way it's getting in front. Always add a location for everything you post, even if it's super generic, like USA, like just add a location every time.
The music tag, is it best to just do like the trending?
You're ahead of it. We're getting right into that. But again, if you are farming something, like if you're farming Vineyard, Utah, make sure you're doing Vineyard more than not often, just because you want to specifically reach the areas that you're farming and getting in front of. But if not, be pretty generic. Using templates. So like I said, Instagram's not hard. Making videos is not hard. And one feature that is super, super easy that I don't see a ton of people utilizing is templates. So when you're scrolling on your feed and you see this thing that says use templates, you click on it, and then essentially Instagram's already pre-sliced up when the music changed and how long a video should be, because we all like the videos when it's like the beat drops and then it scrolls or it transitions. Like that gets people interested, that piques interest. So use a template, then I know I don't have to splice up, I don't have to change. I can just add each video to this, It takes you guys legit like 30 seconds. It's so easy. And yes. Nope. Anyone. So anyone can post. So a lot of creators have it off to where you can't use templates, and that's just them being selfish. But I just say, like, most people that aren't like big time influencers have it where it's like use template, and then you can use any of it anytime. People can specifically choose to put that on or off. But that's why I recommend when you're scrolling through, clicking these 3 dots and saving it. And so like I have folders that are like transition folders, house tour video, right? Different things. So then if I have, okay, I go do a parade home video, I can go click on one of these folders, grab one of these templates, and I know it's already pre-made, and I don't have to like splice it up. Wrong way. Again, social media tips is interaction is key. Every time you guys post a story, add a poll, add a question mark. Like one of our agent on our team that he really succeeds in is just asking people, how much do you think this home is worth? He legit, every time he goes tours with the buyer, does a quick video of the home and just says, how much, guess, like winner gets $1, like something so minuscule, but people love that. And so it's like, I will Venmo you $1 if you guess where this home is, or like guess how much this price is, right? And so getting people to interact with you, again, automatically boost it. Because if I just posted rents rising rapidly, it's like, okay, great. Some people might find that beneficial, whatever. But then if I see, are you renting or are you buying? I go click on every single person that they said, yes, I'm renting, pre-written out message. Hey, would love to get you, buying a home, whatever. And so it just like, it helps you not only segment your database a little bit better and get more insight on individuals, but it forces interaction. So every time, make sure you're doing a poll or a question or something. Okay, 1 second. So I do AI, where it just automatically sends them a thing. Yep. Mini chat. Yep. So yeah, so I just have it set up like it's like 10 seconds after someone selects yes, automatically gets a response with our like buyer's guide that shows like renting versus owning, net worth, and a couple other things to set up a consultation. Yeah. Again, like millions of people are posting a kitchen like video, but like posting something like, what would you cook here? Or like, what would you do here? So people can start to envision themselves in a home and interact. That's what's great. You had a question?
I probably know the answer, but it's like one of my friends is always like four things that she wants to win. And that is it one of those things that you have to put like share with 5 people, and then they can see that that person has actually shared that 5 times, and it just goes into like, it goes into my messages that.
Yeah. So if you do like a giveaway and you say like you have to share, then you'll get in your messages, because then it will tag you, and you'll see like at the top of your dashboard, it will have like your circle, you'll click, and then you'll see the people that shared, because it will come as a message that they shared your content, but you won't necessarily get a notification.
It just shows that it's been put out there more places.
Yep.
It doesn't really do anything. Like if I never do anything with those. I just go, okay, well, she's obviously trying to win something.
Yeah. What do you mean do in terms of what? Like just.
I don't know, like say like facial like stuff like that she's trying to win like some sort of face stuff or whatever. And then I always end up with her stuff in my inbox. Like
that's because she probably is just tagging you on it. Right.
Tags, and then it comes to me.
Yeah.
Until I'm like so not.
No.
I scroll through and I'm like there for like a few minutes.
It's because she's tagging you in it, and then maybe as a comment or as a story, she's like resharing and tagging you, like mentioning in her story you, because that's what people, and so they can see how many times she's doing it, but they don't see necessarily like who all, right? So they
can't see that it's like
in your inbox. No. Yes. Yep. Yep.
But the whole goal behind that is to like then have me hopefully go and follow that person.
Yes, because that's why a lot of giveaways, it's like, to be entered into this giveaway, follow us, tag 5 people, reshare it. So now I'm resharing whatever med spas post, and then then my people are all seeing it. And then when someone tags me, then it's like, oh, well, maybe that person will want to enter, and then they'll share it with 5 people, and it just exponentially grows faster when you're having an incentive like that. So it's always great to do giveaways if you're trying to grow your social media. Do like $100 or do a parade of homes ticket giveaway. Those are always great. We get a ton of interactions on those. Okay, focus on EAT, engagement, reply to comments on your posts, post polls on your stories. Hearing from your followers helps you better understand what content to post in the future. It's kind of like naive of us to assume the type of content that people like. Like obviously we get data and insights, but like ask your people, like real estate is a fun job. It's very different than like an accountant or all these other like boring positions. Like you guys get to tour crazy awesome homes and do this like people have like because of selling sunset and all these like a preconceived notion of like your guys' life being super glamorous and doing these things. So ask your people like what do they want to see? Like what kind of content do they want to see? Like $1 million house tours? Do they want to see like what's at on average 500,000 gets you in Provo, Utah, because that's relevant to me. So making sure that you're asking those questions will make a big difference. Authenticity, again, striking a balance between polished, beautiful photography and behind the scenes, gritty, nitty details. I tell people like your stories is like your like quick Snapchat reel. This is what's happening in my life. Doesn't need to be super polished and pretty, right? It's just something that's only there for 24 hours. So it's kind of like an insight into what I'm doing in my life, but it's not like a professional photo. I didn't spend a lot of time editing or putting it up there. Your reels and your posts, like you guys need to, you can't just post stuff. Like you have to see, this is like forever content that's going to be on your profile. And this someone randomly could click and see, and this is their first interaction of my brand. So spending more time in anything that's in your actual feed. But again, like we talked about earlier, the no edit is the trend for now. And then thought leadership, showing your listings on parts of the neighborhoods are always great. But here's your time to shine as a thought leader and expert. Why is one apartment better, has a better layout than the other? Why is this home better than a different one? Like making sure unique parts as the agent, like you want to position yourself as a real estate expert, right? And this is where it's like, you see a lot of agents that post content, you're like, ooh, like they're just trash talking like a horrible experience with a client. What do you think someone's impression is going to be like? I don't want to work with that person. They just talked about how horrible it was because they had a divorce situation. The wife was crazy. I don't want to have that happen. I feel like they're not like, like people want to see something where it's like you're thought provoking, you're positioning yourself as a leader and an expert. You know market data, you know the best neighborhoods in Utah, you know where to go for restaurants and different things, because I want you to be an expert, right, in all facets within real estate in Utah specifically. So just making sure like that is the image and the brand that people see when they see your content. So on that, like social media tips, like don't just post graphics, because again, people want to see your face. Interpret the data. Anyone can post this graphic with days on markets, average purchase price. That doesn't mean to me anything as an average consumer. Like people want to see that you can actually interpret the data and you can understand it. I don't want CNN's perspective of it. I want your perspective because you are the person that I'm using to make the biggest purchase of my life, right? So making sure if you do post a graphic, add the next story or have a story first of you just, hey, real quick, Utah Real Estate just released their average days on market for last month. It was 36. It's gone down. So what does that mean for you as a buyer? What does that mean for you as a seller? Just quick, like it doesn't need to be hours long. It can be a minute or less of just a story of you explaining how these numbers impact you. Because a lot of times as agents, we assume because we live this day in and day out, people understand what these numbers mean. Some people might not know what median days on market means. They don't know how that impacts them. So making sure, again, it just further leverages you as someone that understands and can interpret the data. Question?
Well, that's what I was saying before I became an agent. Like I would see these kinds of things and it's like, okay, 9 days, is that a lot? Is
Yep.
that less than normal? Is that like
Yep.
4,000 sold? Like
It
what
means
does that
nothing.
even mean?
Yep.
Like, yeah, like it's like, oh, okay, but you don't really have a perspective of the trend. What that means for changing. Instead of you explain it like you just said.
Yep.
That's
It makes a huge difference. Yeah. Because again, it's naive for us to assume that people know what those numbers mean. And again, we're all selfish. People want to know, okay, that's great that means that, but what does that mean for me as someone potentially looking to buy or sell, right? How does this impact me? Okay, we kind of already went through this of just like posting 30% business, 70% real estate. Again, I'm buying into you as the person, as the agent. I don't need to see under contracts all the time. I don't need to see just solds because it gets redundant after a while, especially for a lot of you that are just killing it in the game and putting one under contract every other day. So just making sure that you have variety in the type of content. And at the end of the day, like, even if you can post a real estate, again, it's being tactful. So if you're saying like, hey, I'm driving to go show this home, this is a question that came up, right? It's something that's like, okay, it's real estate related, but it's still relevant to me as someone not looking. Because again, if 90% of your database, your network, your people following you is not going to do a real estate transaction, making sure that it's still something that they find interesting. Like, I just toured, this is what $3 million gets for you in Mapleton, Utah. I might not be looking to buy or sell, or that's out of my price point, but that's still a cool home, or for me to get an idea of what's happening, right? So again, it's just you got to be tactful about the type. And then again, real estate gets a rep out there that there's a lot of egos. It can look egotistical, right? Comparatively to other industries. So it's a fine line of not being boastful and self-consumed, but also still like you are selling yourself, right? So it's just, again, we just have to be strategic on how you're putting yourself out there and being smart. Like, don't bash your clients. Don't talk about your horrible experiences. Talk about the good, making sure that you're always putting your clients and talking about your experience with the clients in a positive light, because that's what people want to see and that's what they relate. They're like, great, you just made 50 grand on selling a home. I'm not connecting with that, but oh, great, you just helped a first time home buyer, like do something like that's something that I can connect emotionally on, and you're going to have higher interaction rates. Any questions on the percentage? 30 business, 70 personal. Yep. People want to see your kids. People want to see your life. They don't really care about houses as much as we care about it because we live in it. So, okay, now we're going to get like really in the nitty gritty. The whole goal, right, with social media is to get people to our websites. So then they get squeezed, and then we get their information, and then we buy or sell, right? So how are you guys putting on your stories? Like Instagram, if you guys didn't know before, you had to have 10,000 followers to put a link in your bio, in your story. Now anyone can do it. So every time you guys post a story that's a house or something, even if you're doing a house tour, if you're like, I'm just in this house, check it out. Put the link in your story so people are clicking it. Because if someone sees your stuff, that's why it's hard to track direct correlation and ROI with social media, because it's a lot of brand exposure. But this will directly correlate with ROI, right? Because if someone clicks on it, I'm tracking that URL to my website. I can see that they converted, I got their information, I was able to call and get an appointment. So making sure that you're putting a button on everything. With that being said, people don't realize like you can customize your sticker so it doesn't just say the URL. So if you click add link, you'll click customize sticker, put home details here. Something, again, you got to capture like a hook, right? Like how to get a 4.98 rate, whatever, like something that's incentivizing and not just a URL. Like, again, hooks everything. And then you can check it out. You can click it, whatever, the hook. And then when you post a sticker, you guys actually tap on it, it will change colors. So Instagram, there's like 3 pre-out colors, template layouts, but then the 4th one is kind of contingent on the type of content you're posting. So it will try to be aesthetically matching, right? So click it a couple of times, because you don't want a bright red button if your colors are like blue and red, right? Or blue and green, I don't know. So click it to make sure that aesthetically it works out. Nope. Anyone can do it.
So there used to be like 10,000 followers.
Yep. It was up until like a year, 2 years ago. Anyone can do it because they just have found that a lot of people need it. So yeah, so that's where I would say every time you have a listing, anytime you're doing stuff, like try to get people to your website. Blogs are great, right? Like here's a Mayflower. We did a blog about like the Mayflower, the ski resort. We got like hundreds of thousands of clicks on it because if people were just like, that's actually interesting. I don't care about a $500,000 condo, but I want to see what's happening in, Utah and the first, whatever, longest ski resort. So just getting stuff that people are going to your website. Doesn't have to be listings specifically. Blogs are something that you can do that can relate to. Even I know a lot of real estate agents that have a high success rate with it. It's just like every Thursday, they'll say things to do in Utah County this weekend. Goes straight to a blog and it just has like 5 events happening. Because really, I don't know if you guys, and we'll go over this and when we go over newsletters, but there's not a lot of stuff out there that shows like things happening in Utah County or Salt Lake County. There's not like one place. So that's a great way for people to interact with your content. Using the dashboard for insights, again, like we said, this is how, and I'll send you the slides but this is like step-by-step on how to make your content, your account, a creator account. So if you want the slides, you can go over, but I'm not going to go through that in too much detail. Again, if you are a creator account, you do get analytics with the type of people interacting. So I can see for Red Sign, it's 50% women and 49% men. So we're pretty much half and half. Some of my builders that I manage, it's like 80% women, 20% men. My content that I make is going to be very different if I know a majority of my audience is women versus men, right? It changes drastically. Your age range too, I know, okay, majority of my people are anywhere from 25 to 44. So using these analytics to dictate what type of content you make is very important. And I also can see my top cities of where people are looking. So I know if I'm going to pay for boosted advertisement, I'm going to target these cities because I already have a big following. Video settings. One thing with Reels, you want the video to be crystal clear. And if you guys don't know this, like Instagram has pre-written out settings that you have to do, because if not, if it's too large of a format, it will automatically pixelate it. So if who does not have an iPhone in here? You all have iPhones. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm sure your camera settings are similar, but making sure if you go to your iPhone camera settings, everyone should be on a video of 1080p in 60 frames per second. If you're at 4K, it's too high of quality for Instagram and it's going to automatically pixelate it. And no one likes to see a blurry video, right? You see some of these influencers like, wow, that's crystal clear. Feels like I'm there. It's because they have these settings. So make sure your camera settings are on 1080p, 60 frames per second. And then when editing, if you use a third-party app, make sure you export in those settings because it will automatically like default to like 4K. So use those settings when. Yep. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shot it. Yep. Yep. Which is awesome. And that's a great tip. Because again, that's why like a lot of the iPhones, because of how great they are now with the camera quality, it's just important that if you're using it for social media purposes, that you're recording in the right settings or editing and exporting it out in the right settings. Collaborating. If you guys don't know, you can add collaborators on all of your posts. So if you guys have lender partners that you work with, essentially a collaboration, when you go to add tag, it will say invite collaborator. This means that this post is going to syndicate to both people's. So if you have a spouse and you go on a family vacation, add them as a collaborator because then it's all going to go to all their people and all of your people. So essentially saying both of you created. If you do a giveaway with the lender, add a collaboration because now you've essentially doubled, tripled, quadrupled your audience that you're reaching out to by adding up to 3 collaborators. Organize, again, like I said, like you guys should save your collections, like be very strategic when you're going through and finding templates and trending audio, save it into a collection of a specific type of video. If it's like real estate memes or funny, like joking videos, if it's house tours, if it's, again, it's really easy if you have a collection saved to make it, again, streamlined and effective moving forward. And then you brought up trending audio. This is the biggest thing that I want you guys to walk away with, is that if you are posting a reel, any reel should have an audio added. Even if it's you talking, you can change the audio levels for your camera audio and the trending audio so that it's lower or completely non-existent, or you can make it like subtle background music. But every audio you should do should be trending because essentially it's like surfing, right? Like when you're surfing, you're not getting on the wave at the pinnacle, right? Like we are riding it up and getting to the top. And so if I post an audio that has 500, 900,000 views or uses, I am essentially competing with all 900,000 people to get my algorithm, to get my content in front of a lot of people. If I post a trending audio with less than 5,000 views, my competition has drastically shrunk, right? So I'm only competing with a select few of people, and I can ride that wave up and hoping that this audio really takes off. Because then again, I'm getting in front of enough people at the beginning and people are going to consistently see instead of getting it on the back end where it's not getting in front of enough people. So you will see an up arrow, which means that this is a trending audio when you're scrolling through. And if you click this button right here and click save, you can save that audio. So then you can have in your collections a bunch of saved trending audios. But again, trending songs don't last very long. So make sure that you're just, if you're going to do it on Monday, by Wednesday, you're posting it because they will die out. And then making sure that your uses is like 5,000 or less, because you don't want to post an audio that has 100,000 views, because again, you're competing with top content creators that do this for a living, right? So any questions on trending audio, how to find it, where to save it, what types to use?
You can even write when you're looking for the audio, you can write trending. They'll just bring up
Yep. And then when you go to post your reel, you can click and you can click and you can do.
Hear the one you want.
Yep. And you can add it so you can try out different ones, and it will show you if it has an arrow and if it has a certain amount of uses. So making sure, even if you make the audio completely off, still add a trending audio every time, because it drastically will help with increasing the exposure. Remixing. This is like a huge thing for you guys to use that don't want to come up with your own content. I recommend following like 10, 15 of the top real estate agents across the country that you think post good content, and you can steal their content. It's crazy. You literally can repost their exact content without doing anything for it. So if you click on it, on their thing, the 3 dots, it will click remix. Essentially, it's going to post the video. You have to add text to change it, but I literally will sometimes add text that says Utah real estate agent, and I'll push it off to the side so it doesn't change. So when you guys see those funny meme videos, you're like, I don't want to go spend 30 minutes trying to recreate this, and they have it open to remix, you can literally just click remix. Again, you're not going to want to copy everyone in the office, right? You're going to want to copy agents in South Carolina or New York or somewhere where they're not going to see it, because agents will be like, okay, why are you stealing all my content? But if you don't know them, it doesn't matter, right? And they don't know that they have this option open, so who cares? But we've had some of our remixes get way more views and likes and interaction than any of our original content, because it's someone that's already a trending topic, right? So if you literally are like, I don't, it only helps them. Instagram is like, yeah, people will see, like, it's like, oh wow, people are remixing, because again, it's an analytics that they read and they digest. So having something like this remix is great. It helps you if people are remixing. But again, it can take you just redoing this. It can take you 2 seconds to post content, and then you don't have to create original stuff. You don't have to do anything. So I recommend always remixing. Real quick, CapCut is a third-party app that I use to edit. Instagram is getting drastically better, but it still has a lot of glitches in its editing capabilities and features. So I recommend CapCut is free. They do have some paid versions or paid features. So using CapCut to edit all of your stuff will be super helpful. And then ManyChat, this is how your automation, this is your AI. This is how anytime someone does a poll or someone comments or likes or whatever your like pretty much your program is, you can automate that with a response. So ManyChat, it's also free. I think you get like up to a certain amount of accounts or a certain amount of features for free, which I've only used the free version, but there are some things you can pay for. So I know that was a lot. We're running out of time. What questions do you guys have? I think the biggest thing when it comes to short form content is, again, like, quality is key, slow motion. Those of you that were here early and I sent the video, you'll see like the Parade of Homes is a great opportunity for you guys to go get a ton of just like storybook content for you to utilize in the future. And it can be just every like house tour videos. I tell agents, don't do a 6-minute house tour video walkthrough, right? Because then you're not intentional about the frames that you're getting. Cut it up, do the exterior, come in, do the living room, right? Be intentional about the type of, you're not going left to right every time. You're not going right to left every time. You're going up, down. You're coming from a wall. Like, you have to have diversity in your movements, because it does captivate people, right? I don't want to see, like, again, it gets redundant after a while. So just making sure intentionality is key when it comes to short form content, and just knowing, like, asking yourself what your goal is and what do you want your audience to see for your brand. So any questions? Yes. No, I only do boost posts for listings, because we tell our listings that we boost on social media. You're truly not getting more views, especially if you guys didn't know. You have to, if you're boosting a listing on Facebook or on Instagram, you have to do a special requirement that this is housing. If it's politics or housing, there's certain limitations on what you can and can't say, and it can only go in front of certain people and certain demographics. So it drastically limits the amount of people that you can get with boosting a post. However, you can get around that by doing a cool home tour. I'm not promoting this listing as my listing or saying you should buy because of this. It doesn't say anything other than like, imagine this is your backyard. I can boost that posting and it can go in front of everybody. So stuff like that, sometimes I will, but you have to be strategic. If it's specific about housing, it's drastically like you just don't get a return. Your ROI is negative. So any other questions? You guys all have my email. Email me these slides. It will walk you through. I know we kind of ran out of time. It's a lot to go over. But yeah, thank you. Do you have any questions? Talk fast. Yeah, which makes it hard.